When's the last time you were lost? Now, it doesn't happen nearly as much as it used to, but for all you young people, let me tell you something. The people you know over 40, well, they used to be pros at getting lost when they were younger because they didn't have navigation maps. Now you got to work real hard to get lost, but, well, I think we've all proven we can still do it, right? Maybe you've been lost hiking or camping, roaming through a national park where you had no cell service, trying to find your car in the Opry Mills parking lot. That's happened to a few of us. But there's a big difference between getting lost and being lost. When you're getting lost, you never know it, do you? I mean, most of the times you've ended up lost, you were actually confident you knew how to get where you wanted to go. But in spite of all that confidence, you got lost anyway. You know why? Because self-assurance is no insurance against getting lost in life. Now, the reason I bring this up is because I have the privilege of hearing people's stories hundreds of different times over the years. And you know what we've seen more times than not? We've seen people who were lost, but in many of those cases, they didn't recognize they were. And even when we tried to help them see they were lost, they couldn't bring themselves to accept it. But until you know you're lost, well, you can never get unlost. This is true when we get ourselves lost morally. Maybe that's where some of us are today. When you were younger, you said, I will never do this. I will never be a part of that. I'm never going to date or marry somebody like that. And you don't know exactly what happened, but you're not morally where you're supposed to be and plan to be, and you don't know how to get back. You're lost. Maybe for some of you, you're lost professionally. You chose the right major, you went to interviews with confidence, you did all the right stuff, but here you are 10 years into a career and you're looking in the mirror going, I didn't grow up to be what I wanted to grow up to be. I don't even like what I do every day. That's what it feels like to be lost. Maybe some of us are lost relationally. Some of you who are single and dating, you can look back and you've had 3 or maybe 4 relationships that all seem to go in the same direction, all seem to end the same way, all looked really similar, and you're thinking, why does this keep happening to me? Well, it's because you're lost. Or maybe for those of us who are married, you're looking at your marriage going, oh, we're definitely lost. I'm not sure how we got here. This is definitely not where we want to be in our marriage. And I'm not sure now how to get us from where we are to where we need to be. And the interesting thing is, every one of those journeys, for all of us, they began with a sense of self-assurance and confidence. But that was no insurance against you ending up where you are now. Now, that's true for all of those areas we just talked about. And it's true for the one I haven't mentioned yet, because, well, it is a really sensitive subject for a lot of us. But according to the latest data, many of us are lost financially. Now, just to be clear, you can be lost financially with a little bit of money, and you can also be lost financially if you have a whole lot of money. It is not just for people in debt. It's not just for people who live paycheck to paycheck. Being lost financially goes much deeper than that, and it's really hard to admit when it's true of us. So at the end of this talk, I'm going to help you to determine for yourself if you're lost financially. But before I go any further, I want to address the tension this creates every time I talk about this. See, you don't want to tune in and hear me talk about money. And I know that because every time I talk about money, I hear, Matt, you're talking about money too much. Or, I'm not going to go back to your church. All you talk about is money. So let me just ask you a question. Why do you think I would do it knowing that's what I'm going to hear? Let me tell you why I'm not talking about it. I'm not trying to get money from you. There is no ask for your money at the end of this video. Don't worry about it. I talk about finances knowing I'm going to be criticized for it because I actually want something for you. See, Jesus promised that following him is going to make your life better and make you better at life. But for American adults, as of 2025, over 50% of us are living paycheck to paycheck. 54% of us don't have enough savings to cover 3 months of living expenses. Almost 60% of us couldn't cover a $1,000 unexpected expense. About 50% of us worry daily about money. That's regardless of how much we have. 33% of us paid a bill late in the past 3 months. So, if half of you watching this are struggling with this area of your life, and I don't tell you the helpful principles that Jesus gave you so you could experience financial peace, well, that's not very loving of me. It would actually be pastoral malpractice on my part, pastoral negligence, not to talk about this. Because think about it. So many of our problems, so many of our worries, so many of our difficulties, so many of the complexities of your life and mine, well, they revolve around money. So it would be negligent of me because Jesus talked about money more than heaven, hell, prayer, and faith combined. So I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't talk about money. Because after all, I'm accountable to God to teach you what Jesus said about how to live. So let me go ahead now and start by telling you the thing that Jesus said that you're probably not going to like very much. You ready? Jesus said you cannot fully follow him and be lost financially. He said it's impossible. That you can't be fully surrendered to Jesus and be lost financially at the same time. And the reason he said that is because money's too powerful and he was too clear about how to manage it. Now, if that makes you mad, uncomfortable, upset, resistant, I get it, all right? Just when I'm done, turn the video off, rant and talk bad about me over lunch, but here's all I would ask. After you've said all you need to say, after you vent and you get through those initial emotions, would you then pause and at least reflect on what we're about to talk about a little bit more? Because when you see money the way Jesus sees it, your entire life will be better and you will be better at life. So here's what Jesus said in his own words in Matthew 6. He said, "For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also." This is why you can't fully follow Jesus and be lost financially at the same time. Because wherever your money goes, wherever my money goes, our hearts follow. So if you are lost financially, it is guaranteed that your heart has been pulled away from your full surrender or your full devotion to Jesus. It's guaranteed your life is revolving around money. It is not revolving around your King. Because the condition of your personal finances is a reflection of the condition of your heart. You cannot be fully surrendered to Jesus when your finances are out of alignment or when you ignore what he says about how to manage your money, because money always drags your heart in its direction. Which is why Jesus followed up what I just told you by saying this. He said, no one can serve two masters. Either you will hate the one and you will love the other, or you'll be devoted to the one and you'll despise the other. And then the shocking part. He said, you cannot serve both God and money. Now don't miss this. What Jesus just said should encourage you to know just how much he cares about you. See, Jesus is making it very clear that he is not focused on acquiring your money. After all, if you think about it logically, isn't he powerful enough to just take your money from you if you want to? Jesus is focused on something different. He is focused on capturing your heart, not your money. He's trying to keep your money from getting you. He's not trying to get your money. He's most interested in your full devotion, because that devotion will make your life better and it'll make you better at life. But Jesus also knew that it is impossible for you to give him full devotion if you're selfish or undisciplined with your money in some way, because where your money goes, your heart follows. So what I want to do is a little self-evaluation for a minute. Can you be honest with yourself? Okay, this is the uncomfortable part. How do you know if you're lost financially? Well, if you spend more than you make in a year, you're lost. If you don't know if you're spending more than you make in a year, you're lost. I guess I should say, if you don't care that you're spending more than you make in a year, you're definitely lost. If you owe more on your car than your car is worth, yeah, you're lost. If you carry credit card debt, you're lost. If paying the monthly minimum on your credit card is your normal way of life, you've gotten lost financially. If you think paying the monthly minimum on your credit card is good financial planning, well, I think that's pretty obvious. You're lost. If you live paycheck to paycheck, if you don't have enough savings to cover a $1,000 unexpected cost, well, you're lost. If you don't have enough saved up to cover 3 months operating expenses, if you're not adequately saving for future retirement, if you don't know how much debt you have, you are lost. If you have no method of tracking where your money goes, if you're making financial decisions that you hope other people don't discover, you're lost. If you're making financial decisions you hope the IRS doesn't discover, you're lost. And I hope you look good in orange. If you worry about your money, think about it. If you worry about your money, you are lost. If you fight frequently about money with someone, you're lost. If you don't talk with your spouse about money at all, I think you're lost. If you and your spouse have two different financial plans, then you're probably lost. If you and your spouse view money as yours and mine, not ours, and you never cooperate, yeah, it's a sign you're lost. If you see yourself as an owner and not a manager of your money and possessions, doesn't matter how much or how little you have, you are lost financially because you are violating the primary perspective and principle that Jesus taught about money. If you don't give a percentage of your income first every time you get paid, you have gotten lost financially. You are ignoring the top priority Jesus taught about money. So you can be lost financially with a little. You can be lost financially with a lot. But you can't fully follow Jesus and be lost financially. You can't ignore everything he said about money and still claim that you are surrendered to him and you love him with all your heart. I mean, that's impossible. That's as crazy as me standing here, sitting here, and telling you that I love Jesus, but I hate you. No, you can't do both of those at the same time. And in the same way, you can't fully follow Jesus and just blow off what he says about money. So, as uncomfortable, maybe as angry as it makes you for me to talk about this, as much as you think churches and money shouldn't mix, listen, if you are lost financially, I just know it's having a negative impact on your life. I've seen it too many times. It is robbing you of the better life Jesus invites you to live. And I care about you way too much not to tell you that. And at least invite you to consider a better way. I'm willing to risk ticking you off. I'm willing to risk you saying, I'm not watching that anymore. I'm not going to that church anymore. Not because I want that to happen, but because what I want for you more than anything is for you to see what life is like once you surrender everything, every area of your life, including your finances, to Jesus. I want you to experience the peace you find when you do that. I want you to experience the freedom you discover when you surrender everything. I want you to experience a richness and a closeness in your relationships with people that you don't experience when you're lost financially. I want you to experience contentment in life. I want you to experience God's faithfulness and his power and his presence in ways you've never experienced before. I want you to discover the deep sense of purpose God created you for. I want you to be financially free to chase that purpose and that dream that God puts in your heart. I don't want you to be so in debt or so upside down financially that you can't do what God puts right in front of you. And if I'm being honest, I don't want you to be so greedy that you miss experiencing the joy that generosity generates. Most of all, I don't want you to miss experiencing just how personal and active God can be in your life when you surrender everything completely to him. And I know money is the area that we all hold out on. It's the last thing we surrender. And maybe you never have. It might just be why God doesn't feel as personal to you as you hoped he would. So, if you are lost financially, in the next episode, we're going to get really practical. I'm going to show you Jesus' simple plan for you to experience financial freedom. But you don't need to know it to go ahead and surrender this part of your life and all the other parts of your life to your Heavenly Father. Surrender is the smartest move you will ever make because you find peace and freedom on the other side of it. After all, you can't fully follow Jesus until you are unlost financially.